Hi, my name is Allie Colandro. I'm a senior here at Frisco High School. This is my second year in ISM and I'm studying educational entrepreneurship. I like reading, I do CrossFit, which I love to do, and I like hiking a lot as well. And I'll be attending UT in Austin next year. So last year I studied gifted education. When I was in kindergarten, I was identified as GT in Frisco ISD and continued in the program until 8th grade, but after 8th grade it drops off. There's not really a program for high schoolers, so I was quickly bored with my classes. Even with pre-AP classes, that really didn't do anything for me. I was still constantly just irritated in my classes and bored, and I felt like it was a waste of time for me to be spending my time in class. So I studied gifted education. And two mentors are Dr. Todd Kettler and Mrs. Kelly Starnes. So first I chose Dr. Todd Kettler. He's a professor at UNT to be my mentor, and we were going to do a phenomenological study on the math and science experiences of gifted high school students. And we were really excited about this. I agreed for him to be my mentor, that we were going to do this project, and we did all the paperwork and everything, and we just had to go to Frisco ISD and say, is it okay with you if we do this? And they said no, and they didn't give any explanation. And I was very frustrated by this because we had worked really hard, but nothing came of it. They wouldn't let us do the study. So I thought about some more things that I could do for my final product, and then I talked to Mrs. Kelly Starnes, who was actually my GT teacher when I was in elementary school, and she kind of helped me refine my ideas into a program for high school students, gifted, that could still work in the current model of classrooms. So this is my final product. It's a technology-based blended classroom model. It's one teacher, 20-ish students, but it's self-paced, so you can work on your assignments however fast or slow as you need to make sure that you're mastering everything. But it still works within the 6 weeks marking periods and the semesters and the daily class time. It fits in perfectly with the way that the Frisco High schedule works right now. But as you can see, those are just pictures. It's not a real website. I didn't actually develop the product all the way. I kind of changed some of my viewpoints, and I didn't know if I wanted to continue doing this. I didn't really, I didn't feel as passionately as I did before. So I wanted to kind of change what I'm studying a little bit. So this year in ISM2, I'm studying educational entrepreneurship, which is the study of private, charter, and magnet schools, especially in Texas, just looking for innovative options for high schoolers. So my interviews, I had several. My first was with Miss Stephanie Scott at iSchool High STEM Academy, and I learned a lot from her about the STEM endorsement, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. That is a big up-and-coming thing in Texas, especially, to focus on STEM subjects for their students and to lean away from humanities and arts and focus on what the students know they're good at. I am cautious with this kind of change because I think that if we focus on STEM too much, then we'll lose the humanities, and I think there's things to be learned from students who are gifted in humanities and gifted in STEM for them to be together, for them to not be separated and torn apart from each other. That it's important that they learn from each other about their different strengths and weaknesses. My second interview was with Dr. Chris Harmon from Legacy Christian Academy, and he taught me a lot about the versatility of being a headmaster. In any given day, he can be doing crisis management, test reviews, result, budget, finance, discipline. Anything that happens in the school can really be given to him as his responsibility. So he talked a lot about you can't plan for what you're going to do that day because you never know what people are going to come and talk to you about. Also, he talked a lot about academics, arts, and athletics, and how those are kind of the big three, and they are in constant rivalry of each other, competing. They think that theirs is the most important. Everyone thinks that their area is the most important. So my next set of interviews was at St. Philip's Academy of Frisco. Originally my interview was with Miss Melissa Finley, and she does the marketing for St. Philip's Academy. It's a very small school. So she was just brought on there to make sure people know about St. Philip's, and she goes to other schools and kind of tells them what St. Philip's is about. But then most of my questions, once I got there, I realized that Miss Finley did more marketing, and she just happened to be working at a school. So then I got to talk to Miss Holton, who was the director of St. Philip's Academy, in the same interview, and I wasn't expecting this, but I was really excited because now Miss Holton is my mentor. She's great. So her son is identified as gifted and talented. He's profoundly gifted, and he really struggled in elementary, middle, and high school. He was in the public school system the whole time, and she kind of saw the social aspect of it as well. It's called soft curriculum, the social aspects of giftedness and how those needs are just as difficult to meet as, say, special needs on the other end of the spectrum. And she also had a lot of wide experience. She had experience in all kinds of different things with curriculum writing, student teaching, classroom teaching, leading a school. She had done it all. So I have a lot to learn from her as well. My next interviews were at Uplift Education. My first one was with Miss Yasmin Badia, and that one was actually over the phone. She's the CEO of Uplift Education, so I couldn't get much time to meet with her in person, but I did get to talk to her over the phone, and Uplift actually has a really incredible way of developing their curriculum. They have a whole league of charter schools, so they, by grade and by subject, whoever performs the best in any of their charter schools, that curriculum becomes the norm for all of them. And it works really well for them because they don't have to outsource their curriculum development. And then I also interviewed in person with Mr. Rich Harrison, and he is the Chief Academic Officer of Uplift Education. And he taught me a lot more about what Uplift is. And so they serve students in the DFW area that are underprivileged. Their current public school is underperforming. A lot of them are impoverished, and they attend Uplift Education based on a lottery system. They apply and hope to get a spot in an Uplift school. And they have a 100% college admissions rate, and 68% of the students that attend Uplift Education schools are the first in their families to attend college at all. Mr. Harrison also taught me a lot about data-driven schools, which was really a fascinating idea. It was kind of cutting edge what he was doing, and it seemed like he had really pushed the idea himself. I could tell that he really believed in it. He wanted to be able to see how all of his students were performing. A lot of times we see education as a gray area. We don't know who's the best. It depends on the day and whatever. But he said, it's not gray. I need to be able to see who's the best fourth grader in math today and why. What instruction are they receiving that is making them perform higher than the other students in that same classroom that are receiving, in different classrooms that are receiving the same instruction, or within the same classroom. Why is this kid doing better? What's going on there? And that helps them develop their curriculum also in a way that can serve all the students that they have over all their different schools. And then my last interview was with Miss Jody Capehart from the Grace Academy of North Texas, and she has started 5 different private schools. So she was very knowledgeable about the accreditation process and how you raise funds to start a private school. But the one that she's at right now, Grace Academy of North Texas, they use a classical approach to education. So they use, instead of like elementary, middle, and high school, they call it grammar, logic, and rhetoric stages, and they correspond to developmental benchmarks. So they focus a lot on the brain development of the student, and then work with that to determine what they should be teaching and how they should be teaching it. So that was really cool. And she also, when I was telling her about my gifted education experiences, she said that she felt the same way a lot when she was in high school and college, that she felt the same way about special education. And she felt that they were being underserved, and she started a school for them. And then she got to see all of the disability laws kind of come to fruition. And so it was really hopeful for me that she had been in the same situation as me, and then all the laws that started requiring public schools to pay attention to special education and special students. So that was that's very exciting for me to maybe that could be a future possibility for a gifted education. So after my interviews, I also did a lot of research about the different kinds of school that are most popular in Texas. So you have public schools and private schools. Public schools are all funded by the state, so that's public, charter, and magnet. Students don't have to pay tuition because the state pays for them to go to school. Your taxes pay for that. And then private, you have to pay tuition. It's almost like college where you pay a certain fee, but they don't have to follow any of the state requirements. So the state of Texas has the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills and the STAR test and everything, but private schools don't have to adhere to that at all, but public schools do. So we attend, Frisco High School is just a regular public high school, but within public there's also charter and magnet schools. So charter schools were created to offer innovative solutions for education in Texas, and magnet schools are the same way, but those have qualifications for admission where charter does not. So magnet, a lot of times that's a fine arts school, so they can require an audition and you have to be skilled in fine arts to attend the magnet school. Where charter schools, admission, if there are too few spots for too many applicants, they either have a lottery system, which is where everyone submits their application by a certain date and then they draw names for who gets to go to the school. So that's one way, or by the time that you submit an application, so like the first person to submit an application gets a spot, and then whoever the first 400 get their spots at the school. So that's just a matter of opinion. So this is my original work. I worked on it a lot with my mentor as well, and I studied the requirements and review of application for opening a charter school in Texas. So with all of those different aspects of charter and magnet schools and private schools, I wanted to focus on charter schools because I think that private schools definitely have a feeling of exclusivity to them, where you can't attend this school if you don't have money to pay tuition. And I didn't want to do that because there are a lot of students in public high school, gifted students in public high school, that they need to attend a gifted school that can serve them well, but they can't pay for the tuition. So I didn't want to do a private school. And magnet schools, a lot of times when you're talking about gifted education, you worry about elitism and seeming like you're better than everyone else. So I want the charter school to, you don't have that issue of qualifications for enrollment. So this is my original work. It has all the requirements of the application and just general things that your school has to follow, along with the references to the Texas Education Code that rules over those things. And then also, so I was talking about this with my mentor as well. The sponsoring entity, CEO and head of school, and then the board of directors. Those are the three parties that really are involved in opening and running a charter school. So a sponsoring entity would be like AT&T says, part of our mission says that we want to be a philanthropic organization, and so we would like to start a charter school for gifted students or something. And they find a CEO or head of school that says, I know, I'm an educator, I know how to start a school. And then, so someone like AT&T will hire them to start a school. Or sometimes it goes the other way around, where the CEO or head of school has a great idea and they say, I want to start a school, I need someone to back me, and AT&T says, we've been looking for someone to back, so we'll do it. And then, so once those two get together and they decide that we want to have a school, the CEO is in charge of finding a board of directors, but a lot of times that board of directors is made up of members of the company that's the sponsoring entity, so that they have some say in what's going on in the school and how it's being run. So with all of my work, this is a quote that I found, and I really think that it embodies everything about a school that I think is both a challenge in normal public schools, but also something that I want to do with charter schools. It says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. And I think that's important, that we focus less on the testing and the worksheets and the grades of school and focus more on the incredible thing that is learning and knowledge, and creating that love for school and learning in children so that they'll carry it with them no matter what career they have. So also I learned a lot about the needs of gifted students. So this is it's hard to discuss because a lot of people believe that because you're gifted means that you have an advantage in the world because of your intellect, and that is going to put you forward in the world. But a lot of times with giftedness comes a lack of soft skills, which is like the social skills or the emotional capabilities to handle yourself in a normal situation where you can communicate with people well. That is a lot of times hard because your brain is moving so fast that you get frustrated that you can't convey your message fast enough. I was talking to Mrs. Holton, and she has a second grade girl who is so profoundly gifted that she can't write because she's only in second grade, and so her hands can't write the letters as fast as she can think them. And it frustrates her so much because she's so young that she gets so irritated with it that she'll just tear the paper apart and she can't do anything. She can't write any stories because the words can't come fast enough. And she needs to learn how to be patient, how to write, but her brain is moving so fast she can't worry about it. So this is the IQ score distribution. It's a pretty nice bell curve. And I think this is a very important point to make. A person is generally considered special needs if their IQ is under 70 and considered gifted at 130 and above. Those are the same variants from the norm. They have just the same amount of special needs, special attention that has to be paid to those students as a special needs child. And one of the things that I was talking about with my mentor the other day was with the second grader, she can't write because she gets so frustrated. They use dictation so that she can speak fast enough, and so she doesn't get so frustrated. But if she was going to a public school, she would not have that ability. She needs just as much attention and care as a special needs student, but she would not be getting that. She would still be in a regular classroom. She would not be able to do the dictation or anything, and she's lucky that she goes to a private school that her parents can afford that. But a lot of people can't afford such an expensive private school. So that's kind of why I want to do a charter school. So this is my next quote. Here's to the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They invent, they imagine, they heal, they explore, they create, they inspire. They push the human race forward. Maybe they have to be crazy. But while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And that's by Steve Jobs, and he was the creator of Apple products. And I think this is really important to talk about this with gifted students. We're not doing enough for our misfits, rebels, the troublemakers, because those are the gifted kids. They're bored in the back of class, and they're going to be the troublemakers. But they have incredible potential, and we need to be serving them appropriately. Thank you.
Her portfolio is up here.
Last time I was 13, and it was only supposed to be 10. So then I was what is this? I have a hard copy. What's that? So.
You should. Yep. Alex? You can just give it to her.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't turn the camera off.
What was the time?
1823.
Hey, Allie. I don't think I turned the camera off.